Hello everybody, my name is Cave, and I will be doing a guide for the fresh file run in Returnal. Currently, I'm the world record holder in this category, so I figured I'd make a guide before the PC version comes out so that anyone that wants to try this category can sort of follow along, and hopefully this will help them out. Going into my settings, I've changed my controller settings to be custom, and what I did is I made my dash L1, my melee R1, and my use consumable up on the D-pad, but you can make that circle or square. I just prefer up on the D-pad. The reason we do this is so you can DMJ easier using a controller. I'll link Uprisen's video on DMJs in the description. Next, we have on the gameplay tab, I changed my to sprint to always sprint and my minimap distance to 75%. These are just quality of life things. And lastly, my cycle time is set to on. This is required in order to submit a run to the speedrun site for us to verify it. So with all that, I'll reset the cycle and we can go ahead and get this started. Honestly, I have no notes written down. I'm just kind of going to run through it and take it a little slow and explain what I'm looking for or my thought process or things of that nature, I guess. To begin with though, you do have to make sure you're on a fresh file. We can tell if you're not. Like, all fresh files start exactly the same. So from the start, we're just going to dash through. We have to use only the dash instead of DMJ since we don't have the melee unlocked yet. So these first few rooms will always be the same in a fresh file, so that's how we'll know when verifying if you're doing a fresh file or not. Here, you're going to grab the pistol, shoot the thing, and here you can pick up the health. If you're a beginner, I strongly recommend you do. However, for time save purposes, I actually skip it, and I'll show you where I scan health later. But again, if you're just starting out, I would strongly recommend you pick that up. Here is our only unskippable cutscene of the whole game, as of 3.0. No clue why they decided to make this one unskippable, but here we are. So gonna wait through this, and once it's done, we're just gonna rush and pick up the key. Not actually gonna kill any of these enemies. It's very unnecessary. We actually kill almost no regular enemies in this run. Only in Biome 5, really, or if we're in lockdowns. So gonna pick up the key and run back towards that door where we just were. Again, this is the only part of the game where all the rooms are exactly the same. So here we actually have a quick skip. Normally you're meant to jump up there and run around, but instead, if you take that wide, you can actually just jump onto that platform and dash regularly. Here we have a few more standard rooms. And coming up, we have our one and only intentional reset cycle of the run. Previously, we used to actually fight this mini-boss, but it was discovered that it is much faster to just reset, especially since our time is based off of the in-game timer. So what you're going to do is as soon as you dash off the ledge, you're going to pause. And the reason you do that is because as soon as you're off the ledge and falling, the game will actually count you as entering the arena and will thus progress you. So you're going to reset cycle again immediately because you just lose time if you're inside the ship. Sure, maybe it's like a little bit cheating, but like that's just how we time it, and if it's the standard for everyone, then it's fine. Alright, and since we did that, we no longer have to fight that mini-boss.
Abandoning Helios. Heading towards White Shadow Broadcast.
Funny enough, this room technically has optimal RNG. You can get the door that's closer, but I almost never get it. Here we're going to scan our alt fire. As soon as you pick it up, just going to aim at the door and shoot it. You don't have to be aiming directly at it. Tracker's one will pretty much hit it for you if you're in the area at least.
Highly effective. This will be
and
useful.
Here we get our carbine. Make sure you're skipping all the cutscenes, by the way. You don't need to watch any of those. They're pointless and slow. If you look in the bottom left corner, next to our dash cooldown, you can see our alt fire. For that very first carbine, you have a couple options. Well, by couple, you have literally 4. You can get Horizontal Barrage, which is by far the best. You can get Blast Shell or Tracker Swarm, which are like 2A and 2B. Or you can get Shock, and Shock is the worst for this biome. What I did there in that room, I did that fast. I should stop and explain. I did one dash at the start, and from there I just kept holding forward on the D-pad. And when you do that, it'll put you on top of the teleporter scanner item that you pick up. And if you look down in mash triangle, you can actually activate the cutscene before you land, which just saves a little bit of time, since from that distance, Celine does the Superman landing. Here, instead of taking the teleporter down, we just jump and dash. Saves a little bit of time. Here, you can get health if you're a beginner and you've collected enough obolites, otherwise you just skip it.
Detecting a strange energy reading. Setting a marker on
And I should have made note of this earlier. But I think now's the right time. You want to be looking out for the boss door. And I'll explain why later. But it is a nice little time save if you memorize where the boss door is and what teleport you're at. So here is our boss door. I have not been paying attention, but I want to say this is teleporter 3 I'm going to go to. So I know it's teleporter 3 because it's the one before the house, which we'll be coming up to in a second. So here's our house. This is a good place to check time. For me, my average house is 2:15 in my cycle timer, which is really like, I can't do the math. I'm trying to, it's like 4 minutes, I guess, is the math. But anyways, that's a good place to gauge your time, I guess. Is if you're 2:15 there, you're doing pretty good. And here we have our sword room, I believe. Yes. So what I do, this is the path where I didn't take the health. I'm gonna look for the tree enemy, who is hiding. Oh, there he is. I'll go ahead and focus this guy down first, just so he doesn't bother me. What I want to make sure I do is I actually take damage from him. And the reason I want to take damage is so that I can scan health in this room while I'm waiting for the lockdown door to appear. For this enemy, we're going to simply dash when he does his very telegraphed attacks. Once he's buffered, then feel free to use your alt fire because it'll do more damage. We're going to check the gun, see if it's a better carbine, and then we're going to run and scan to pick up health. Sorry if that was a lot at once, but basically, we're checking the gun to make sure we can get a upgraded carbine. And then we're getting the health here since we have to wait for the doors to unlock anyways. Now that we have the sword, we can DMJ. So the rest of our movement will now be DMJ, and again, I'll make sure I link Uprison's guide to how to DMJ in the description. So we're going to run back to the teleporter we unlocked, and the one you're always going to go to is T2. You're always going to go to this one first. Unless you have the boss door. Okay, I'll grab this key first, and then I'll explain the other path. So we're going to grab the key. And then go back to the teleporter we just unlocked. So earlier I said make sure you keep track of where the boss door is. If you see the boss door before the house, then you know you're going to go to T3. If you see the boss door right after you go through this health pickup room that we're in right now, you're not going to teleport at all. You're just going to walk out and walk into that room. If you see the boss door in this room right here, you're going to go to T5. And if the boss door is actually in the same room where you pick up the sword, what you would normally do is run up the path and go to that teleporter, which would become T6. And then from T6, you would teleport to T2, and then from T2 back to T6. So I'll show you what I'm talking about once we get up there. But for now, we took note, it's T3. So if I was going to run, I would immediately just go to T3 and select it. This is also why we make our map distance 75%, so that we have an easier time figuring out where we are. The map distance is really just a buy on one thing. Alright, so from here, I'm gonna jump up. If you jump upstairs, sometimes you can get some good jumps. And real quick, this is the teleport you would take. This would become T6. So you go to T2 and then back to T6, which would be this one. Which is why I'm explaining if the boss door was in the same room where you got the sword. Once the door is open, we're going to DMJ through. Note that if you have the bat enemies as your enemies out there, sometimes they'll follow you in here. It's a bit annoying. But here's our freaky fight. We're going to DMJ forward and start meleeing. What I'm doing is I'm holding down the right trigger, or R2, and mash in my melee button. And that allows me to take shots in between each melee. Now, you may have just noticed that I meleeed through one of Freaky's attacks. That's because melee gives you iframes, so if you line it up properly, you can actually melee through Freaky's melee. You may have also noticed that when Freaky did the red orb attack, I weaved melees in and out, and that's because that's an attack that can actually hit you from beneath. Alright, so there I did not parry in time. If you're sketched out about doing parries, which is totally fine, even I chicken out of them, you can just simply dash away when you see Freaky raise the arm, like this. So that's one of the telltale signs you're looking for Freaky, is if Freaky raises his arms, it's going to do a melee. There's only about 3 attacks you have to move out of the way for. Again, here's the red orb one. So we'll melee, dash away, loop around, melee. And do that in like a circle motion. Alright, this Freaky's actually going super poorly if I'm seeing this attack. But that's fine. Alright, phase 3. So phase 3, Freaky's gonna do 4 actions. So the actions will either be the melee, a teleport, or that blue attack. So here we got the best one, which is 2 melees in the blue attack. And after 4 actions, Freaky will bring out these purple orbs where you need to dash away and weave in and out of them. Also, just a quick thing to make note of is make sure you're using your alt fire on cooldown. The only time I don't do it is at the end of phase 1, and that's because I'd rather have it at the start of phase 2. For some reason, bosses get like a little bit of super armor towards the end of phases. Anyways, once the boss is dead, they'll drop the key, so just hover over them and hold triangle. And then we're gonna go to the teleporter. And from here, you're always gonna go to 5, because 5 is where your portal will be. If you're ever confused which way to go, you're gonna want to go to the one where there's less enemies, because there will usually be enemies from the other side. And that's biome 1. I hope this video is going well so far. I don't know how long. Oh, it looks like it's 12 minutes. So in my head, I was guessing an hour. That might be true. When you go through that teleporter, you can hold forward, and it'll actually move. So you can see, like normally you end up like right there, but since I was holding forward, I ended up here. And oftentimes you can actually get all the way up to this calibrator. So I'm gonna hold and scan this, and hold and scan our health. Important to note, you're probably going to want decent health for Ixion. Ixion's a bit of a tough one for fresh file runs. So if you see any easy to grab health, definitely don't be afraid to go grab that. Because that amount of time loss is insignificant to a death time loss. In this desert, we're just going to be DMJing. This is also a great place to practice DMJs if you're new to Speedrun and Returnal in general. Since there's a lot of open space, you can chain them together. And you're just going to want to try to find the big light and head in that general direction. I got pretty lucky and got a straightforward path. However, there's times where you have to go like left or right, and you can actually kind of kitty corner. You just have to be careful because sometimes the desert will slow you down if you get too far out of bounds. But yeah. Here we're going to scan the Hollow Seeker and pick it up. Here we got Tracker Swarm, which is probably the second or third worst. Ideally, you want Void Beam, number 1. Or Horizontal Barrage and Shock Stream are really good. Everything else is just like kind of worse. And here's our next skip. Normally you're meant to run all the way up to that staircase where you'll get a cutscene, but if you come here and start shooting at the Severed, it'll actually give you a cutscene. You can skip it and it'll bring you right forward there. So after you pick up the Hall Seeker, just start trying to shoot at the Severed from as far back as you can. Health. Now we're just going to begin our climb up. This part's pretty self-explanatory. Just get through the rooms as best you can. Try not to get hit. These turrets, I'll take it slow just so I can do a good Ixion. Those turrets can be annoying sometimes and do decent damage. Oops. Coming up, we have another chance here. You can pick up health if you want. If you have the oblates to do so. And here we have the teleporter. When I'm doing runs, I think I try to be at this teleporter at like 9 minutes. If I'm at 8:30, my run's going crazy. But if it says 9, like 9:20, I think is a pretty decent range. And again, I feel bad for saying decent. Like, these are decent ranges for me. If you're, again, just started, don't feel discouraged or anything like that. It's all about making progress. You know, I've been doing these fresh file runs like pretty much nonstop since the game came out, so it's I have a little bit under my belt. All right, one more teleporter, and we'll be brought to Ixion's arena. I hope this video is easy to follow on. You know, maybe I'll have to make another one at some point, or maybe I'll separate each biome and show a more in-depth one or a more serious one where I'm not stopping to explain. But you know, if anything, maybe I can have like one of my record videos linked and you can sort of compare this one to a full speed one. Anyways, come in here, skip the cutscene, and here's Ixion. Off rip, make sure you're using your alt fire. And weird enough, Ixion's the one boss that has a critical point, so you actually want to try to aim for the head. Also, as a quick note, you may have seen me pick up the Hall Secret. This is literally the only point we're going to use the Hall Secret. We will never use this gun anywhere else in the run. It's also far better than the pistol or the carbine, so don't look for other guns. Once you pick up the Hall Secret, you just roll with it. The carbine is not as good against Ixion, and the pistol certainly is not. So yeah, we strongly recommend using the Hall Secret. Phase 1, kind of self-explanatory. Just, you know, use your alt fire on cooldown and aim for the head, and try not to take too many hits yourself. For the start of Phase 2, we have what's called the side scroller or some auto scroller. Basically, Ixion's gonna stay here in the middle until you do a certain amount of damage, and here is where we use melee for Ixion. So we're gonna dash in, jump over to avoid taking an extra hit, and start melee. That might have looked quick. We'll be able to show it again at the start of Phase 3. It's ideal if you have your alt fire at the start because it makes it faster, but the reason we jump into melee is because here we can't actually attack Ixion, so the point is to get to this part as fast as possible so we can get back to hurting Ixion. And melee just happens to be faster, so that's why it's important to have good health when trying to fight Ixion. Or why I mentioned at the start, you know, like you want to make sure you have good health for Ixion because you're going to take damage using the melee strats. You may also notice I don't miss a whole lot of overloads. It's just, you know, it's small time save, but it helps. Phase 2, not too different from Phase 1, besides the start. There you can use audio cues to figure out where he's going to land if you want to get some shots in early. Here, you may see I have my thing back, but I'm not going to use it, and that's because Ixion's already so low that I'm just going to fire away for the rest of this, so that I'll have the alt fire for the start of the next phase, which will get me past the auto scroller quicker. So that's just something I try to do. I think that's one of the neat things about this run is you can gauge how your run's going and you can use different strategies. You use alt fire, dash and jump in, and start meleeing away. And now, Phase 3 of Ixion is where things get a little tricky. So at the start, I'm just going to keep meleeing, get free damage in. Once he gets the sword out, we're going to dash away. And the first attack is always going to be this. We can come in, get some more free melees here, and then dash away once again. And now we're going to dash back in. You may have to take one hit here. Oh, okay, I almost never do that. That first one's kind of tough to reliably block. I forget how many I just went, but it's always the same number of shots he does. Right, here you want to stay close and then DMJ away. If you don't do that, he'll start teleporting around and it's slow and it's tough to hit him. And note that's always the same order of attacks. And that's Ixion. The attacks are always in the same order. Once you kill Ixion, he's going to drop an artifact. Some can be helpful, some cannot. This one is not because I'm never gonna have that many obolites. But that was Ixion. You might have to watch it back. I was that phase 3 is kind of tough to explain everything at once, but I hope I at least covered enough. If you have questions about that, just comment or join the Speedrunner Discord. I'll have that linked, and I can answer those. Anyways, now we have the ability to grapple. When you grapple, you're invulnerable, so it's nice for avoiding damage, and it's also going to be a movement option we're going to do quite often, because it's fast, and brings you directly where you need to be.
The teleportation gateway in the desert.
I started biome 3, pick up your health, and your calibrator. Man, I had a really good fight. And from here, we're going to open up every chest we can. And that's because we're looking for a carbine. Carbine is absolutely incredible for Nemesis. The only guns we'll be able to find are the pistol and the carbine and the Hollow Seeker. Do not bring a Hollow Seeker into the Nemesis fight. I promise you, it's not good. You will be there for a while. Pistol is okay if you absolutely cannot find a carbine, but also isn't that great. So definitely try your best to look for a carbine. That's actually the first weapon we skipped there. You notice we just didn't even scan the rocket launcher, and that's because we don't want it to ruin our chest rolls. Because if we scan that rocket launcher, now the rocket launchers appeared in chests. And there we go. We got our carbine. Interesting enough, I actually got the only alt fire that's able to hit Nemesis in phase 3, so I'll be able to show that off. That's kind of rare, honestly. From here though, all we're doing is we're just DMJing past every enemy and doing our best to get to where we activate the bridge as quick as possible. Here's another place, fun fact, if you cannot scan health biome 1 and you're going for the crazy strat, where you don't scan health at the beginning, this is actually the other place you can do it if you don't get it in that biome. Why is he walking towards the door? We're fine. Anyways, that room is the other place where I would recommend scanning health if you still haven't done it for some reason. And that's because you have to wait for that lockdown door to appear. Here, we're going to DMJ across this gap and hopefully make it. Saves a little bit of time. And now we have the tower. Tower is notorious for RNG. We can either get fast tower or slow tower. I got slow tower because as of late, slow tower is all I seem to be able to get. You can tell, let me clear this out real quick. The archive is making it a little tough to see. Anyways, alright, leave me alone. Okay, now that we're here, I just wanted to show how you can tell what's fast or slow tower. Okay, when you're about here, if you look at your map, you can sort of see the general direction of where you're going to be going. If you see it's going towards the right, that means you got slow tower, which, I mean, it's life. That's how these roguelikes RNG work in speedruns. You're going to get the bad RNG sometimes. It is like 20-25 seconds slower, but again, that's just how it is. But you can tell, especially because you can see the little health icon up there on the bottom right. So that's how you know you got slow tower. If you got fast tower, you'd be able to come right about here-ish. I don't know. It's somewhere around here, and look up, and you'll see grapple points, and you can grapple all the way up. But here we're going to go ahead and go through the slow tower.
The entire city. The journey's almost over. Astra, I'll find a way to contact you.
This is slow tower because we have to go through these non-dash rooms, and there's just no shortcuts. So not too worried about taking health. Nemesis, once you get the hang of it, kind of easy. And I also have 2 health vials, so not particularly worried about dying. Yeah, hopefully I'm not jinxing myself, but should be good. Alright, and here's a cool, I'm glad I got this one for the video. So what you can do here is come here, look up, and jump, and you can actually grapple onto this. And get some free adrenaline here, because they usually put 2 turrets right next to each other. Here, do your best, try not to get hit by those suicide bots. I've definitely lost a lot of health getting hit by some of those.
This is the origin of the broadcast.
And we'll continue our way up here.
Just like he said.
Every now and then you might see me mix in jumps. If you jump at the right time, you actually keep a lot of momentum, and it'll let you I don't know how to describe it. I think it's a subconscious thing I do. Anyways, skip cutscenes. We're on Nemesis. Just keep aiming at this big red point, and honestly, if you just move left and right, you're gonna dodge most of the attacks. You're gonna want to use your alt fire on cooldown, and just keep moving left and right. Dash backwards when you need to, and by backwards I mean like dash like to the left or to the right through missiles, since dash does give you those iframes. And yeah, like I said. Wow, I cannot believe that didn't hit me. I'll be honest, I dashed way too early. Alright, there's phase 1. Really not much excited to say about Nemesis. Phase 2 is coming up. As of late, I've gotten Nemesis glitch every time, so we'll see how this goes. Oh my god, we did get Nemesis glitch. If you have watched any of my streams recently, I have had Nemesis glitch like 5 times in a row. So that's cool. Yeah, we get to do regular Nemesis. If you're getting Nemesis glitch, the only tip I can give you is just keep running back and forth as you shoot. The lasers won't hit you. You know what lasers I'm talking about if you've seen the Nemesis glitch. All you need to worry about is dashing back through the red laser, which I can't really showcase here since I don't have it. But basically, the yellow lasers that the enemies on the sides are shooting, you don't need to worry about those. Just keep strafing like this back and forth, and they shouldn't hit you. And when the red laser gets too close, make sure you dash away. Or dash through it and start strafing in the other direction. I don't know if I explained that right, but in my head it makes sense. So I'm hoping I gave a decent enough visual. Oh, here's a tricky one. So Nemesis will do this sometimes. He teleported away, but his attacks are still going. Can be a bit of a pain, so I would try to watch out for them. Like that. That's crazy. But I have 2 health vials, so I'm kind of chilling. It only really happens when he's doing that attack there, where he has the 2 lasers that go back and forth. Anyways, he teleported, we go to his new location, and we finish up. And now on to phase 3. And phase 3 is the reason why I say absolutely find a carbine for Nemesis in this fresh fire run. With carbine, you can hit him all the way from the back here. You'll also notice I can actually use the alt fire because I got the one that's able to actually hit him from this far. So this should be a decent paced phase 3, hopefully. Unless the carbine sucks. But here we're just gonna sit all the way in the back. Make sure you don't fall down off the bottom. And we're just gonna aim from all the way back here. You just have to dash through these lasers. Try your best to avoid platforms in the way of you. And when the laser hits, look around for a new platform to go to. Here I'm gonna have to try to grab another one probably because this one's a little low. Whoopsies. I didn't even see that laser go. But yeah, all you need to do is you just need to dash through the yellow ones. Once you get the timing right, it's not too bad. And yeah, there's Nemesis. And that also concludes Act 1. So if you made it this far, you know, I hope your run's going good. I hope I've done a decent enough job explaining everything. You know, DMJ up here, mash triangle, and there you have it. Look, I mean, shoot, that was like less than 27 minutes, and I stopped to explain stuff, so that's not too bad. I mean, I saw the timer said like 25 something, and I said this was less than 27. That's because we did that reset at the beginning, and when we're verifying, we add together that first reset and whatever your end time is. So just take note of that. It's also, if you're starting, it's entirely okay to submit runs where you die. You know, just make sure you include everything, and we'll piece it together. We'll add the times up. We can verify that for you. It's totally okay to start runs off where you die once or twice. It's part of the learning process. Anyways, here's our other unskippable cutscene of the game. So, you know, this is your time to take a quick, you know, if you're quick enough, if you speedrun real life, you can go take a bathroom break or something like that. Once the screen turns black, you're going to want to get ready. You can start skipping the cutscene. So you can skip one, and then skip a second one. And now we are in Act 2, in familiar looking lands. Act 2, we're going to start all crippled. We're going to walk forward and
It wasn't a lie. But my return to Earth changed nothing.
pick up this health thing. Sometimes there's a glitch where it's not going to let you hit triangle. If that happens, just jump once and then hit triangle some more. That'll get it to work. Oh, it actually happened to me. That's so funny. So here, you might have it where you can't hit triangle here. All you got to do is just jump and then hit triangle again. You'll be good. Wow, what are the odds? What are the odds of that happening? Alright, from here, we're going to just keep on trucking. And we're going to pick up our last weapon of the game. Coming up, actually. Weapon is a bit notorious in my streams for a specific trait that I may or may not have a slanderous PowerPoint about, but here is our driver. So let's see. Oh, what do you know? It has the trait. So Pylon Web sucks. Pylon Web will ruin your run. It'll give you a bad time. That's not what you want, but it's what we got, so we're gonna have to take it because this is all we can take. You're also gonna want to look at the bonus damage. Projectile speed, pylon duration, useless traits. You want as many points as possible into bonus damage. But that's how you look for a good pylon. Is you want bonus damage and you want literally any other trait besides pylon web. When I say literally, I mean genuinely anything besides pylon web. Pylon web, useless. Anyways, file 4, we have to go get 2 keys to open the door. This is where a lot of RNG comes into play for the run, because you have one required lockdown between these 2 rooms, and then you have rooms that can give you lockdowns, but you don't necessarily like have to have lockdowns in. I don't know how to describe that. Basically, like this room, for example, could have had an enemy that locked me down, but it didn't. And so I got a no lockdown biome 4 area, which is crazy. I should have taken this one seriously. I can't believe I'm wasting my time doing this guide. No lockdown biome 4 is very, very rare. And when it happens, you save a lot of time. But we have to go through a whole nother one, right? That was the first one, so now we have a whole nother section. Since we didn't get the required lockdown in that one, it's going to happen at the end of this one. So we're only hoping for one lockdown. And that's dead. We got a lockdown. Thankfully, it's the shortest one. When you have that health thing there, that one's by far the easiest one to get through. All you need to do is kill that health pylon. Oh, okay. Well, never mind. We got 2 lockdowns. This is awful. This, quite frankly, is bad. Here, I'm going to actually take that driver. It had worse damage, but it didn't have pylon web. And no pylon web helps us for the longevity of this run. May have gotten a glimpse of the lockdown enemy. It was that fella. If you want to do the full strats for Hyperion, which I'm going to do, you normally want to try to focus the lockdown enemy a bit more than I am right now, but I really want to showcase the this boss fight as well as I can. So I'm kind of not doing good. So I'm kind of messing around when it comes to this enemy, because I'm trying to do my best to not take the extra damage that I need to. Alright, yeah, I mean, so that was just slow, quite frankly, but I did it to save health. For that enemy, he'll put up a shield, so you want to make sure you go up and melee that shield so you can go back to doing pylon damage as quick as possible. And here's our required fight. You can actually critical hit this enemy, so try to aim for the head. And watch out for its malignant attacks. Sometimes it'll have the, like the counter on hit. Sometimes it'll have the missiles that follow you. This one seems to have the gate that follows you around. That one's not too bad, just have to keep moving. And make sure you just keep pylons on its head to try to critical hit it. This is the required lockdown, by the way. I briefly mentioned it, but this is the one it is. So you can come here, check for, ooh, there we go. That's a, 1 damage more, and also doesn't have pylon web, so we'll take that. From here on out, you're only going to use a pylon. You're never going to use any other guns. So don't bother. Like, don't bother picking up a carbine or definitely not a hollow seeker and handguns. We just don't need them anymore. Once we got our 2 keys, also to note, at the end you're always going to teleport to teleport of 3. This will bring you back to the door. So when you finish off getting this key at T4, you'll go to T3, and when you finish getting this key at T5, you'll go to T3. Anyways, gonna DMJ up these stairs and do the short hops. Try to get an extra bounce. There, I kind of did it. You may have saw a couple really quick ones. Yeah. Anyways, here, if you don't see a teleporter, let me make sure nobody's following me. Sometimes there'll be a transporter there. If you see that, take that. Otherwise, you know, bit of a shortcut, bit of a speedrunner trick. You're gonna jump here, jump up on this, look up, jump, and you can grapple onto here, which saves a little bit of time. And here comes Hyperion. Oh boy. Is this fight a fight in the speedrun? So what you'll do is from the start, when you're doing fast, you can hit this twice. But I'm just going to try to do some explaining before we get into Hyperion. Basically, we melee Hyperion. There's no nice way to put it. If you want to go fast, you're gonna have to melee Hyperion. Which you might be is like, wow, doesn't he have those spikes? He does. Hyperion does have those spikes. We try to find our way around it though, and hopefully I can do a decent job explaining it, and hopefully actually doing it. This is definitely the fight that I struggle with a lot. So you know, don't worry if it takes you practice. But from up here, you can shoot like a few pylons and Hyperion get damage, and we're gonna DMJ up and start all firing. Alright, so there I dashed away at a specific time, and I know what the time is because you can see like white lights appear behind. It's gonna happen again. There you can sort of see, you saw like white lights appear, and that means that it's gonna do the that spike attack. And if you have a good enough driver, good enough alt fire, and you don't waste too much time, you'll get this glitch where Hyperion stops attacking you. So from here, again, I'm holding down R1 and just mashing melee. And that's phase 1. That was a perfect phase 1, no damage. That's what you want to do. Here, start at phase 2, I'm going to go ahead and use my alt fire. And here, you're going to back up a little. He's going to do these red orbs. Spike's going to spawn under. That's where we're going to approach. And from here, we're just going to melee. I always forget about spikes. Those will hit you if you're not careful. But note that once you dash in, after like 2 melee, spikes will appear. Now here, what we're going to... Oh, I blew it. What you're supposed to do there is get in between Hyperion and the organ. And you can actually stop Hyperion from getting back onto the organ. I will try to find a video of me doing this fight where I managed to do it, and link that in the description. It'll be called like Perfect Hyperion Fight or something. But I guess since I did do that, I can kind of give you a general idea of this fight if you don't want to do the melee strats. If you're just starting, I would recommend you don't, honestly. And what you should do is you should stand all the way here in the very back and just kind of loop in circles. You're going to try to stand in between these two here. You just go back and forth, jump when you need to, and keep pylons on them. But yeah, phase 3 starts. Gonna kind of do the same thing, alt fire, keep pylons on him, and do melees. At the start, when he's in the center area, you can get a lot of free melees. Gonna do some, what's it called? The vines come, dash away, dash back in, and keep meleeing. And now, since I have a lot of health, I might go ahead and show some crazy, like, I don't even attempt this too often, but this is just in case you want to try it. So here, you can kind of weave, if you have a lot of health, you can do this. So you can weave back and forth. You're going to get hit. Make sure you're dashing when you see the white lights behind them, because that means spikes are coming. And you can kind of do that. You can get away with it, because you have a lot of health. And that was honestly a crazy Hyperion for this video. I'm going to link something still that shows a slightly better phase 2. Because I didn't trap Hyperion like you're meant to. But yeah. There, you might have saw I faced a certain direction as I fell and dashed a certain way, and that just brought us directly to where we wanted to be without having to do the Superman landing. I was able to dash directly to the grapple and grapple. Here again, I was holding forward as I teleported in so that I got to these quicker. And yeah, we're in Biome 5. Wow. That Hyperion. That was a good showcase Hyperion. Yeah, anyways, let's do Biome 5. Biome 5, kind of a similar idea as Biome 4, except this time we need 3 keys. One is going to be behind a sort of challenge wave rush room, and the other 2 are behind regular rooms, I guess. Again, you're kind of hoping you get no lockdowns. There's going to be a required lockdown at the end of each, but everything up to then are lockdowns that aren't necessarily required. So here, for example, off rip, we already got a lockdown, which is not good. If, you know, I'm going to go ahead and, because I want to make sure I finish these runs, I'm going to clear out some of these enemies. The lockdown enemy is always going to be the one that's spawning in. So here's my lockdown enemy. It's usually going to be that blue orb thing. Don't know any, I know none of the official names of these enemies, except for the bosses. They all are just animals to me. So I'm sorry if, you know, we're not getting any official names. In Biome 5 also, don't be worried to run towards the door even if you see those red spawning enemies. Sometimes they just don't actually spawn lockdown enemies. Again, the reason we have our map widened is so we can have an easier time seeing where our required door is. You're always going to want to go through the light blue doors. And here's our required lockdown. We have to fight one of these Malignant Severs. These have weak points, so try to aim at the head. And besides that, you know, these rooms actually offer a lot of health pickup. You can weave in some melees if you're nice with it, like I am. I'm kind of nice with it, so I'm allowed to do things like that. And once you're done fighting, you know, you can DMJ, pick up some health, and then pick up our keys. The keys will always come after fighting those enemies. Whoops. Here's our first key.
The first key for the...
And we're always going to go back to T1 after each of these rooms, since that is our hub of Biome 5. Oh, that was nasty. Okay. My movement's a little crisp. Anyways. This section is the same idea as the last one we were just in. You're hoping for no lockdowns and just go to the required doors. Wow. This run stinks. Quite frankly, RNG-wise, has not been ideal. I don't know how else to say it. Don't know how else to say it, so I'll just say it. The RNG has not been great. Anyways, we kill the lockdown enemy once it spawns. You know, feel free to clear out some of the other ones while you wait for it to spawn, just to make it easier for you. And then we're back fighting one of these guys. We're gonna aim for the head. Ooh. Gonna, you know, fire out some melees when possible. Ooh, gonna try not to get hit by that because that's massive damage. Alright, well, that was good. Alright, so the reason why we do these 2 rooms before we do... Ooh, also, I'll show you something quick. You can actually, there's some cool tech here if you, you DMJ here. You can, if you're mashing triangle, you actually pick up the key as you skirt over that. So one fluid motion would look something like this. But yeah. You're looking for upgraded drivers from those enemies. That's why we do those 2 rooms before the challenge room, because if we get a driver with more damage, that's just super sick. More damage and doesn't have pylon web. Make sure it does not have pylon web. I am begging you to make sure it doesn't have pylon web. And here we go. Here we have our boss room. So our goal here, kill everything as fast as we can. Try not to take too much damage, obviously. A good trick is to, you know, melee the ones with shields, put in like 2 bullets, and then go to the next one. Phase 2 will have a lot of the robot flying guys. These are also different every time, so you know you'll get a different batch of enemies. Do I have a health vial still? Man. Where is our other guy? Alright. And there's a lot of health around the stadium, so feel free to pick those up. They're pretty lenient with them. Alright. And here you'll get like 2 to 3 enemies. Some mix of the Severed and the Orb guys. These Severed you actually melee pretty good. If you mix in melee and driver hits, you can get through them pretty quickly. So you saw there I was intermixing melee attacks and driver shots, and I was able to erase that Severed pretty fast. There you saw it in action with the key itself. But once you finish that, we're gonna go directly to the key. Don't pick up the Dreadbound or the artifacts. Who cares about those? Useless. Biome 6 is free. Yeah. We're gonna come up here, open the door. No boss. Very sick. Skip all cutscenes. We don't care. We already saw them when we did our beautiful casual playthrough. You know, I recommend doing a casual playthrough. It's fun. You're gonna look straight ahead when you come off that platform. Don't look around. Don't pick up that. We don't really need it. Your driver's fine. Your driver, I promise you, is quite enough for this biome. And now we get big DMJs. You may have noticed those malfunction missiles following me. Do not get hit by those. If you get a dash or melee cooldown malfunction, your run is going to be miserable. You're not going to have a good time when you can't DMJ anymore because you got hit by a malfunction missile. This biome, it's great to look for places where you can grapple up ahead, since you won't have the lower, whatever it's called, gravity. It'll just bring you directly to the place, so it's a little quicker. And yeah, here, big skip coming up, big skip, everyone get excited. Normally you're meant to jump down there, fight an enemy, get the upgrade, but with the magic of DMJs, you can just get across. And go ahead and get your little orb thing. Delphic Visor. Man, these have actual names, huh? That's crazy. So now we're gonna try to hit these orbs within the first few shots. And keep on trucking, keep on DMJing. Oh man, this video is not even gonna be an hour long. That's cool. I really hope I did a decent job explaining everything. Again, if you ever have questions about you know, things you should be doing, ideas, how to get started, definitely feel free to leave a comment here, or I'll have our Speedrunner Discord for this game linked in the description. You can join that one too. And we have a lot of people who are willing to answer any questions you might have. Anyways, once you fall down that second hole, take the path that's not where the golden gate thing is. Because we need to go pick up our key for this biome. Oh! Saved it. Here, sometimes this guy will wake up. You know, I don't know why, but sometimes he does. So just something to look out for. I also often pick up the key from this way so I can see if there's any missiles coming for me. Like malfunction ones, and then I can actually dodge them. Anyways, once you get the key, hit that teleporter, and we're going to DMJ all the way back now. Look out for grapples on the way back. Most of the rooms have good grapple points for when you're coming backwards. Oh, that's good. Malfunction missiles. Surely none of those will hit me as I try to... Oh, I don't think he's going to make it. Oopsies. We're fine. Not worried. Anyways. Probably could have made that if I DMJ'd a little better or closer, but that's fine. Come here. Open up our door. And now we are entering our final fight of the run. We've made it. You've made it. I've made it. And I hope you're excited to finish your Returnal run. So we're going to fall down, skip one last cutscene, and here's Ophion. At the start, hit these orbs, and I'm going to put one pylon on every single thing. Oh, shoot, I have Shockwave. So once you put one orb on each, or one pylon on each, use your alt fire, and then just make sure You keep hitting these orbs to keep the spots showing, and keep pylon damages on them. Odd, I explained that awful. Basically, these orbs reveal the weak points. Put one into each point. For this one, I'm going to put 2 up there, because that one's kind of out of the way from the others. And then use your alt fire to do damage to the other ones. And make sure you always have one of these orbs hit, so that the pylons, or so that the weak points stay up. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. I'm sorry. My mind's frazzled. I've been talking for 50 minutes straight, while also trying to do a speed run. Anyways, last phase. Last phase has 2 tricky points, namely these bottom 2. So here, I'm going to try to actually focus these bottom 2 points with my alt fire first. Because the 3 points up there, they'll be fine. You'll hit those. It's these ones on the bottom. I don't know where that one went, I'll be honest. This is part of the issue with Ophion. So you definitely want to focus, yeah, there it is. You want to focus on those points first. Once you kill Ophion, we're going to DMJ back here and start running at this tentacle. And we do this because falling down this final hole from the back is quicker than doing it from the front. So once it's down, we dash forward, aim ourselves in this direction. I think it's, if you're looking forward, you turn backwards to like 5 o'clock-ish. I don't know. I would just rewatch it, try to figure it out. And then we're looking for an outcrop like this. We're gonna dash melee. That's crazy. I've never actually gotten that high up before. I did that wrong. I'll link a better video on how to do it. And from there, we're gonna DMJ towards this. And time. Yeah. Your time will just be the last time showing in the last frame. And yeah, that is our Returnal Fresh File speedrun. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them. If you have any concerns, comment them. If you have any ideas, comment them. We're a young community. We're trying to grow. If you're watching this because you're running on PC, I'm excited to learn with you. I think, PC is going to open up a lot of opportunities for us. I'm going to link the Discord in the description. Our Returnal speedrun in Discord. You can feel free to join there, where we will answer your questions way faster. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you everyone for watching.